Hello, this is Professor Grossman. We're looking at the project file for our project in CE 354, and when you open this up you should see this, and I've turned off some of the contours so it looks a little less complicated, but this is down here at the far west end at the intersection. This is the point we said to start with. So I'm going to go through some ideas about how to get started. I know a lot of you will be working on this weekend and getting ready for the Sunday submittal. 50% plans. We're asking for alignment and profile and some other information, so I thought we would do a little video if you needed some extra guidance in that. So first off, let's start in doing alignment, and we did these back in January when we had our intro to Civil 3D. So I know I want to start here at this point. That's the center of my intersection. So the first thing to do is come up here. We'll make an alignment out of that, and that's right here in the toolbar. And we're going to work our way down through the toolbar kind of in order. So here's alignment. The first piece in there is create an alignment or alignment creation tools. We're going to select that. Up comes the dialog box. We get to name our alignment, and I'll name mine PRK because I like that name. PR stands for paper relocate, and so a lot of alignments in projects are called PR something, and whatever your alignment your surveyor has originally named it, you add PR to the front. You can name it anything you want. I like to keep it short because it's going to name a bunch of layers after that later. You can see down here some of your layers are going to be like C Road PRK. Anything you name up here gets added to layer names, and to keep them short, I like to keep that short. Style, I'm going to choose alignment in the all caps and the line label style in there. You can change that if you want, but there's really no point to. That's a good one there. And what is our starting station? And I like to set this to be 1,000 through there, or actually, so it'll be 10 plus 0, 0. I do that so in case we ever have to extend it back, and I tell you to use it, but also if you ever have to extend it off to the west, you have room to do that. So we'll click OK. And now I'm going to get these alignment creation tools, the little box here, and it has my alignment creation tools in it. And so the first one, and again, we're going to work left to right a little bit through here. The far left one is we're going to add in tangents, the straight pieces, and then later on we're going to come back and add in the curves in between it. So start off with tangents. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to tag that because I know that's one I need. And I'm going to tag the end of this magenta line because I have to match that angle. I have to match that bearing eventually, and the good way to do that is draw your alignment right on top of it because then you're sure you've got it good to start with, and you can read off the bearing later if you need to. And I'm just going to keep on going straight here. This hangs up a little, and now I'm going to drop off here, and there's a hill, big hill here. You can see the contours, a bunch of houses. So I'm going to aim probably to go over to a little bit to the south side of the road with my center line. So the white line I'm drawing is going to be the center line of the road, and then we're going to connect it later with our curves. Now I'm going to drop down here, coming into my curves here, maybe drop one in there. And now here I need to match up to this, but I'm going to say that would probably be back about, maybe here. I don't want to snap to a contour because that could get ugly. I'm going to snap not on a contour. There we go. And now I'm going to hit the end of this line, and I'm going to go on to the other end of it. And again, I can read this later and make sure my bearing is right. And then you hit enter, and there we go. Automatically labeled it for you. So there's our end station. So we went 4,447 feet, and it gives you each of the PIs through there. Right now, all we have is PIs because all it's drawing in is the tangents. So there's another PI. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Now I'm going to throw in some curves, and it doesn't really matter what curves I'm using right now. I can always go back and adjust those. I like to use, so this is the curve button. I like to do the drop down, and I like to use this free curve fillet because that will automatically trim everything up and make it look great, and I don't have to do anything manually with that. So if select first entity, then second. Always pick the one to the left of the PI, I would say, because that's down station, and the next one is up station, the higher station number to the right. And it's going to ask you, do you want the larger angle or the smaller angle? I want the smaller one. I'm less than 180. And what's my radius? And when I type it in, let's just try 200 feet. Okay, 200 is really tiny, but it went in there. There we go. And it did put in, excuse me, the point of curvature and the point of tangency. And it's still active. This command is still active. You can just go to town on this now. So I'm going to throw in all these other curves. Do less than 180, 200. 200 is the default now. I'm putting in 200-foot curves. I'm pretty sure you shouldn't be using 200-foot curves in the final, but just to get these in going, that's what I'm dropping in here. And there we go. And let's do, I think I have one more curve. There we go. And 180, 200-foot curve. There we go. So that's all the curves. I'm going to call it quits. I do have one more PI in here off the end of that, but eventually I'll either remove that or I'm going to straighten it up so you won't even see it in there. So hit escape to exit the add curve command. So now I've got all my horizontal in, and it's labeled them for me. And it's thinking about it right now. Apparently lost my mouse. Come on. Come on. Oh, still thinking. Okay, got it back. All right, so now it's labeled the point of curvatures, the point of tangents for me. And I'm still, I can add in extra vertices if I wanted to and do some other stuff in here. Take vertices out. That's what this one does. This is a one button I want to show you, and we talked about this in January too. This is a data table, and if you click this guy, it brings up a tabular form of what you just drew. And the reason I like it is, whoops, if I can grab it, I can see exactly what all my radiuses are and what my bearings are on these things. So here's my radiuses. See there? And so I put 200 in everything. Here's the angle, the bearings that I've got. Actually, right here is the bearing on each of the tangents. And so this first tangent, this south 89, 51 minutes, 38 seconds east, that's what I want to match, because I do that right on top of that magenta line. That's the bearing I have to match at the west end. This is the bearing I have to match at the east end. Again, stationing and roads almost always go from west to east. So that's what we just drew in there. If I want to change these radiuses, I can just double click these things and say, okay, well, if 200 was not right, let's try 510. That's an awesome number. Let's put some 510s in. Now this next one should be the one, it's still visible down below in the screen. So get him, put 510 in, turn, whoop, and there you saw it jump, right? So it's fixed it for me. And if I hit any of these, if I highlight any of these lines, oops, so now I'm not highlighting anything. All right. Well, this one, I think because oh, there it goes. By highlighting it, when you click on it here, it'll turn red which segment you're looking at. So it kind of tells you which segment is active right now. So if I wasn't sure what segment number 3 was, where I was, you know, the red comes in there and okay, I know where I'm at now. So that's great. And I'm going to escape. I'm done with this. I'm going to close this guy and close this. I'm done with alignment. You may take you a while to get your alignment where you like it. This is a good start and so forth. If it tells you it can't put a curve in, it's often because the curves are too close together. And I think it says there's no solution. And that just means that this curve, the end of its point of tangency is overlapping with this point of curvature for the next one. So there's no tangent in between them, and it can't do that. And I think the error message you get is no, it can't solve. So just try a smaller radius. That should fix it. If you want to move these around, just click your alignment, highlight it, and then if you grab that triangle is the intersection of your tangents, your PI, you can just move that around. Just grab it and drag it around and click it, and there it goes. So it's easy to realign these things and get them in. And it automatically redoes your curves for you and everything too. So you get the curves in there. Okay. So now we've got our horizontal alignment. You may play with that for a while until you get it just how you like it, but that's, let's say we like this one. So we're in there. The next piece to do is then do the vertical alignment, and we're going to use profile command for that. Up here is profile, and we're going to create surface profile. So to be able to draw in your profile and design it, you got to know what the existing surface looks like. And that's what Create Surface Profile does, is it makes you an existing surface profile. And then to do your design profile, what the center line will be when you're done is Profile Creation Tools. But the first one is Create Surface Profile, and it's going to draw the elevation of the land directly below your alignment line. So it's going to be directly below the white line that we just drew in. So wherever you drew this, it's going to pick up the elevations. You can see the contours in the background. It's going to pick up those elevations right below that white line. And so if you move the horizontal after you've created the surface elevation, you may have to recreate it because it'll have changed. And it's supposed to update automatically. It doesn't always do so perfectly, but if it's a small change in alignment, you're just moving one of these PIs around a little bit, you'll probably be okay. But it may flag it and give you an error message, it may not. So just be aware of that. In the past, it's been sometimes a little cranky about when you move in a horizontal alignment after you've already made your surface profile. So let's create our surface profile, and it's going to pop up. It's going to ask me which alignment do I want to make it for. Ignore these right-of-way ones. Those are kind of orphans who got left over when I cleaned this file up. And we are going to select a different one if this thing ever, there it goes. So PRK was the one I made. That's the horizontal alignment I made a minute ago. Click and that. I'm going to now click on EG. That's the surface that works. I think I made a note of that over here on the sheet for you. It's automatically telling you when the start and end stations are. You could cut it down if you don't want the entire profile in there, but you know, why not do it all? Once you've got that all selected, you have to add it. And give it a second. Come on. Let me try it again. Should pop up down here once this thing gets added. Now I've clicked it twice. We may have interesting things going on. I think the video recording is slowing down my AutoCAD. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I put it in twice. All right. I got it 2-click happy. Let's get back over here. Let's take one of these out. Come on. You just click remove. If I can get it to highlight. Come on. Yeah, she's really not happy about recording video at the same time. Still thinking. Well, let's try drawing it anyway. We don't have all night here. So we're going to draw on profile. Now it's going to ask me some questions here. It's going to say, you're drawing PRK? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That sounds great. You want us to name the profile for you? Sure, that's fine. You don't need to worry about that. This is important though, profile view style. We want to pick, if this comes up, basic profile 4VE, which gives us the proper vertical exaggeration. It's going to exaggerate the vertical 4 times larger than the horizontal, which is a normal setting for us. And this is one we've developed in the past, so we're going to use that style. So pick basic profile 4VE, and I'll tell you why here in a second. And we'll go on next. Here's the stations it's going to do, and all this is automatic. Everything is great. You can go right now. You can just click Create Profile View, kind of shortcuts. If you keep clicking next, there's a bunch more questions. Now it's going to ask you to select the origin. Where do you want to drop your profile? Well, don't drop it here where you're trying to draw other stuff. So let's come out here to the right. That's where we used to always drop these things. Pick a spot out here where sure is never going to show up in a plan sheet overlapping something else, and we're just going to click there. And yep, there it is. Okay, it drew the profile for us. If we zoom in, so it gave us a grid box, and if I zoom in now, there's my existing line, is the green, and that's pulled off the surface model, EG. And so that's this ground surface directly below the horizontal alignment. Oh, we got a big hill, and we drop downhill, and we keep dropping, and we keep dropping, and this is the viaduct coming onto the river, and then down there. So it's going, again, west to east, left to right, just like the alignment did. Okay, so now we've got a profile. Now, if we want to design in our profile, and by the way, down here at the bottom, if you zoom in, you can see what station you're at. And the green number tells you what the existing elevation is on the ground. And kind of extra help if you want. Over here on the left, it's going to tell you what the current elevation is. It draws a line every foot, and so every 5 feet it labels it, and that's a darker red line every 5 feet. So now we're going to create our profile. We're going to drop in here, profile creation tools. We just did this one. Now we're going to actually create our design profile. And we'll give it a second to think about this. It's going to ask me which profile am I creating. Well, now you just need to click somewhere on the edge of this box that we just made. This one, you're telling it. Okay, it says, all right, this is PRK. And what kind of profile am I doing? I'm not going to do a ditch, not yet. I'm going to use this selector here, and when it comes up, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to do the design profile, all caps. All right. And so that automatically gives it some colors and assignments and things like that, which you want. You want it to be fairly automatic. I think you do, but I don't think you want to label everything by hand. And now what kind of label set do I want to do? I don't want to do ditch labels because this isn't a ditch. I'm going to do alignment, all caps again. And now I'm going to say, okay, I'm ready to go. And it's going to create now another toolbox just like we did for horizontal. This one is for designing the vertical. We got a very similar looking thing here at the end to draw in just the straight lines to start with. So we're going to do this. We're going to select this guy and we're going to put in our tangents first. And I'm going to start right at the ground level at the far end because I'm assuming I'm going to have to match grade over there. And here we come across and we got a low spot. Do I want to match the low spot and put PIs in here? Yeah, probably not. This is every 100 feet is these darker red lines. I want to go a few 100 feet between PIs generally through there, but this one looks like a likely spot. And I like to put my PIs or PVIs, these are vertical, right on an even 25-foot station. This is an even 100, so I'm going to snap to that guy. Through there. So there's that one. Now I'm going to come across here. It looks like I'm still going up. Maybe up here I would put a peak in on my profile. Now looks like, oh, we're still going up. Forgot how long this thing was. Okay, over here is the peak of the big hill. So probably in here I'm going to have a PVI. I would probably try to get it, like again, I'm going to put it right on the even station. It's because it looks better on plans. Now we go down this hill. Ooh, this thing's big. And we just keep going. So do I want to have a grade break in the middle? Do I want to have a great big long stretch? This is a lot of fill back here. That doesn't sound good. So maybe I'm going to put a little bump in here. And maybe back there. And then I'm going to even out my grade as I come down. And yeah, maybe I'll just take this straight on down here. Something like that. And now I'm going to connect over, and I know I need to match grade here as we end up. So somewhere in here I'm going to be right on top of this final existing ground. Okay, and when I'm done here, enter. All right, I've got a profile. The profile draws in red, which is a little hard to see. If you need to see it larger, if I ever get my cursor back, I think it's thinking about finishing off the profile. I'll get the cursor back here in a second. Okay. All right. Now she's almost. All right. Good. Got it. So there it is. So that's my profile. Again, no curves in here. It is showing where the PVIs are. Puts little triangles where my PVIs are. And it's a dark red, which is underlaid by a bunch of light red, which is kind of poor color choices, but at either rate, that's what it is. You can turn on this thing down here. This is turn on layer weights. Now, like, ooh, I can really see it. Sometimes it's too big, though. If that button doesn't show up in your toolbar over here in the far right bottom corner, it gives you all the stuff you can turn on. You're going to want to come over here and turn on line weight, and then you can toggle that on and off, which shows the true line weight. Otherwise, it's always just going to show your default. But it's a little easier to find the profile, but maybe it's too big now. Now we can also go in here, and the same looking button is this one to put the curves in. And again, I like the free vertical curve parabola through that. And instead of doing some of these fancier ones, which you have to think more about, just do the easy one, which is the one I always use. And it's the same story. You're going to pick your first entity, then you're going to pick your your next entity, and it's a parabolic curve. So it's going to ask you the length of the curve, not the radius, or not point of curvature on it. So I don't know, let's say 200 feet. That's a good number. And it should draw it in. You can see back here is my point of curvature, my point of tangency, 100 feet either side of the PVI. And I can just roll on down here, and I'm just going to add this into all of them. First entity, whoa, didn't catch it. Zoom in more. Got it. And the second. And now it's going to draw in. It should automatically remember that I've got 150. Well, that's 150 foot. Let's do that. Okay, sure. There we go. And so forth. And this is the big one. This will be the fun one here. Let's see what happens when we put a curve in here. Oop, there. Come on. Come on. Gotcha. That one. No. That one and that one. And how long a curve? Oh, let's put a big one in. This is a big change in grade. We're probably going to need a long curve. Pew, and that leaves the PVI. Oh, look at this thing. That is an awesome looking curve. Right through the hill, right through the top of the hill, then downhill we go. We got a little curve down here. Get you in. Let's give that a 300 foot long one, sure. And we finally got our last sag curve down here. Grab him somewhere. Come on. Grab him. We'll make this one fairly big too. That really jumps up. So there we go. We got our curves in, hit enter. I'm done adding curves. Whoops. Actually hit escape. I think either one should get you back out. And now it's labeled it for me because I already told it how to label things. It tells me where my PVI is, what my elevation of the PVI is, and what my curve length is. So all the important stuff that you're going to need. And the stuff I asked for on this submittal. So there you go. It automatically tells you all this stuff. Again, this is a really handy one here. If you select this tabular view and see the data, you can see exactly where all your PVIs are, what your elevations are, and so forth. Oh, look, here's the K value, which is something that you're going to want to check. So I don't know what, this is a crest curve, and I've only got a 106. I bet that's not big enough. Well, maybe it is for our design speed, but you know, typically we're more like 115. Well, I can change that K value. It automatically changes the curve length for me. And 646, that's an ugly number. We hate ugly numbers. So I'm going to make this 650. And I know now I'm a little bit higher K value. That's great. These are all nice rounded curves. That was my big curve. That was this one over here. It wasn't quite long enough before. So now I've got a nice gentle curve, and we change it to 650. So that's a good way to check your K values through there. You can also manually change your grades if you know exactly what grade is you need at the beginning or end. It's a good way to change it. Over here on the far right is a lock tool. So if you know for sure your, like, particularly your start or your end are perfect, you know, click the lock so you don't accidentally change it, and that'll lock it until you unlock it again over there. Okay, so there, now we've got the profile in, we've got alignment in, and all is good here. Make sure you save your file. You probably should do it more often than I did. And there, it does auto save, usually 10 to 15 minutes in between. Yeah. Yeah, okay. If you ever open your file in 2018 or 19 AutoCAD, you can never go back to the 2016 version. So just be careful with that. We've had a lot of trouble with that this semester. I've had trouble with it. The seniors have had trouble. If you downloaded a version at home, it's probably 18 or 19, because why would you use 16? The lab only uses 2016, and so if you use that, if you ever open your design file at home in a newer version, it can do the regular AutoCAD drawing lines and be retroactive and take this to an earlier version. It can't roll back the AutoCAD Civil 3D elements, the stuff we just drew in. And it will just give you a continuous litany of error messages every time you try to save it to an earlier version. So just be aware, if you ever go 2018 or 19, there's no going back. You're going to have to keep doing it at home all the time from then on, or on your personal computer. You will never get it to work again in the lab, or almost never. John might have got it to work once, but he got lucky. All right, so we've got our alignments in. Let's say we're good. So we've saved it. So now I've put a new file in the instructors folder for the project on the S drive, and it's called PPF. I'm going to open that file up now. I should have opened it earlier because it's going to take it a while. PPF has to be in the same directory where your project design and survey base file are kept. And if it is in that same directory, it'll automatically find them and be really handy for you when you're making sheets. So PPF stands for Plan and Profile, and it'll automatically make the Plan and Profile sheets so that you can easily show me when your project what your grade and your alignment and all that is. And it is still loading. We may be here a while. So there is opening down here. You can see you got the blue bar going. It's not done yet. It's going to take us a while through there. But it'll automatically, since if you didn't change the name of the design file, if it still says project_design, and the base survey file is still called survey space base, it'll automatically find them and bring them in as long as you're in the same directory. They're all three files are in the same directory. It'll automatically XREF these in and make life a lot easier for you to make sheets and show off your design. As soon as we get this to load through there. Now as you design it, it won't show anything you've changed in project design, the file named project design, until you save it. And when you save it, it'll automatically update your reference the next time you open that file. And we may be there. Okay. It's going to still take a few seconds to flip through and bring up all the tabs. None of these files are terribly fast, as you've probably already learned. Still waiting. We'll get there. In the meantime, let me describe other things we're looking at. This is the tool space over here. We talked about this earlier too. This will give you all the ideas, an idea of a lot of your design elements that you're working on. So if you want to see what alignments you've made, you can expand this over here, and I'm still trying to load the file, so it's not going to open for me. But you can see that if I made an alignment called PRK, if I expand this, it's going to show me PRK. And I could change the label style and things like that by editing this definition over here. So it's kind of a working legend, kind of what you've been doing. And you can see the stuff you've made already through that. So it's kind of nice. And underneath that would also be a subcategory that's for the profile assigned to that alignment. So again, you can look and see if you've got your profile in there and what the definition of it is through that. So this is really taking a long time to get open through there. And if we've got time, I'll talk a little bit about corridors too and assemblies. If we get this to load. Okay, good news. After 5 more minutes, luckily I was able to figure out how to pause this. We did finally load PPF. So it's usually much faster than this. We're just having little issues tonight. So PPF automatically makes plan and profile sheets for you, and you can see we've got one up here. And it's automatically XREF'd in, if it's in the same subdirectory, your design drawing. And up above will be the plan view, and I set those up in the window. For that, and they may need some adjustment. So I set the first sheet, so down here in tabs you can see the different sheets. If you scroll along, you'll see that they each move through there. It takes a few seconds to update once we click ones. I'll avoid clicking for now, but you can see I've got it here. If you need to adjust that, we're in paper space, they call it, in the layout tab. This is a viewport up above, and this is a viewport down below for the profile. If I double click in any of these viewports, there we go, and now if I hold down the mouse wheel, I can pan around, I can move this thing. And so if you don't like where I had that lined up, if your alignment's not quite in the center, feel free to move it around. All right. Now this scale up here, we want to keep this at 1 to 20 scale, usually. Down here you can double check. Now when I click that, it changed by accident. I can click this down here. I can reset that scale and make sure it's perfect. And it'll jump here in a second, probably. Still thinking about it. When you're done playing around, this is model space. When I double clicked inside the viewport, it took me back to model space. When you're done with that, either down here where it says model, click that, and that puts you back into paper. That kind of locks it in, and you don't have to worry about accidentally moving stuff again, which is a good thing to not do. And it was still, boy, it's still dragging here. It just changed the scale. The other way to switch to paper space is just type PS, hit the space bar. That'll automatically put you over to paper space as well. It is running really slow still, so. Thinking the game, it's blinking around here. There we go. Now I'm back to paper space and finally caught up. Okay, that was a long wait. So this is the profile, the plan view. Sorry. Now down here in the profile view, everybody's going to draw their profile in a different place in that design file. That design file is now referenced into this one's this file, this drawing. And so if I open up this portal, I guess you could call it, in the model space, okay, I'm in there now. If I scroll out with my scroll wheel, I'll zoom out slowly, okay, and I can start to see things. I can figure out where I'm at. Okay, I was way off to the right. That's where the old profile used to be. Oh, there it is. Hold down the scroll wheel. I can pan around. There's my alignment. I could show the plan view twice, which would be kind of boring, but you can do it. What I want to do is I want to zoom in here on the profile view. There we go. Now I can line this up with where the end of this one was. And I'll zoom in a little more and a little more. That's looking pretty good. Right over here. And in the end, I want to set this to 1 to 20 scale as well. So I'm going to go over here. There's 1 to 20. And last time it took forever. Oh, well, it's a lot faster in the profile view. All right, great. Let's not knock it. And so there we go. We got the profile view. Whoops. It's still thinking, oh, okay, this is the slow part. Okay, it's updating. I thought it was going faster. Might be a second. Hold on. Okay, it's finally done updating. I'm going to move this and line this up just a little bit if I can. And you can do a better job than me probably lining that up, but that looks pretty good. I'll take that. And I'm going to bring this down. I like to keep the profile about midway. And look, you're automatically labeled. So your last label was already on there. So life is good. And let's lock this in. Let's go back to paper space before we can break anything. And there we go. Now it's got over here on the side, it's got dumb text, which you'd have to update by hand to match where you're at on the profile view. The problem is the profile view is so long and you only see these automatic numbers at the very ends. So that's why we put these over here on the edge in the margins. You just have to line these up where you can line them up with the one that's in the profile view. So I'd change this number then to match what this one is, 865 and so forth. So that's how you generally do it in the sheets through there. This down here is a third profile window, and we will open it up in the model space. This one's going to be really hard to see what's going on. And this one is locked. Over here is locked, so we have to unlock it. Sorry, I forgot that these came locked natively. So I'm in there and I'm going to zoom out until I can see something. Okay, now I'm seeing something. We use this one to show the elevation numbers below the profile window. Where'd my profile window go? I think it's coming up. It's right there. I know this isn't very easy, is it? There it is. That bottom border of the profile gives me my design elevations, but this profile is so tall you can't fit it in a normal profile window. So we do this. We have a whole separate little viewport, and all it does is gives us these numbers. And it's almost there. And we're going to make it 1 to 20 as well. So here's my scale. Hit 120 there. Now, oh wow, I got lucky. It looks like it lined right up with the lines above it in the profile view, which is exactly what we want. And so now you'll never be lost where you're at. You've always got your profile numbers down here below in the right below your profile view. And here we're okay, so we're back in paper space. This is locked in. I don't have to worry about accidentally moving things. I can zoom in. I can see it. Okay, I was a little bit off. You could have zoomed in. I could make that better, and probably should. Again, this is the existing elevations, and then I'll have my plan view elevations in there eventually. And you should have brought this down just a little bit lower. But now, so now you get good labels. You know where you're at. And the next sheet's down. This should match up here. Here's 12 plus 07. This should be 12. Yep, right there. So we're in good shape. We got that. So there's our plan and profile view. I'm going to start one. If we go to the next tab over, plan and profile 2, which is the next layer sheet, and we'll bring it up. And this one probably we'll have to wait a little bit to get it going. It's loading. Okay, now we're on to the next tab. We're on the second sheet. I tried to line these up about where I thought they would be. Just check your station and pick some landmarks, and then make sure you're starting in the right place. You know, this is my alignment line. I'm a little bit north of the center, but that's pretty close to good. I'm gonna have to do the exact same thing. I'm gonna have to double click and open this profile view viewport, and then go in and find where my profile is. So the first time around, it's kind of a pain in the rear. But then from then on, as long as you don't move where your profile is, it'll automatically update every time you make a change to your profile. And the same with the alignment, it'll automatically update. And you just keep working your way down. So there's 7 sheets total. We're at 1 to 20 scale. You can also jump down here into the title block. If it lets me zoom in there. There we go. You can give it any name you want. I'm using line PRK. You can put your name in for designer and who checked it if you want, or you don't have to. This is already sheet 2. You know, so if you wanted to adapt any of this stuff, just double click it, and you can change the names on it through there. And that's it. So that would give you your automatic sheet creation tools out of that, which not a bad way to go. Okay, I moved back over to the project_design file, the main design file, and I want to show you one more trick to give you an idea, maybe a little better options at designing stuff, and that's to run a corridor through here. And a corridor is Civil 3D takes an assembly, which is basically your typical section, and it runs it through your entire corridor for you, following your alignment and your profile, and it shows you just how far back like your ditch slopes go before it ties back into existing surface. It gives you a rough idea of just how big your road is or how bad your road is through there. And so they're doing a corridor. We're up here in the top ribbon bar again. There's corridor. We'll click that. It's going to ask us what's our name. It doesn't really matter. You can name it whatever. Through there, what kind of style are we using? And we can change that. So again, we're taking our time here to, there we go. So yeah, standard looks fine through there. Over here in the profile, which profile we're going to use, we don't want to use EG, that's the existing surface. We're going to want to use the PRK profile. So let's wait for it to tell us what our options are. There we go. And layout 1 was the one that we'd been using before. So there we go. and what assembly are we going to use. So this is where we pick a typical section. And you have the benefit of, I left all the old assemblies we used when we designed this at the county in the file for you. So there's a bunch of pre-made ones. You're more than welcome to read up in Lynda and figure out how to make your own. But there's also a bunch of pre-made ones. We're just going to pick a pre-made one and use it just for demonstration purposes here. Whenever it tells us what we got. Okay, well, it came up a second ago. There we go. So there's a bunch in here. The west ones are all ones with ditches that were west of the river, and the east ones and the ones with curb and stuff were east of the river, so you don't want those. Let's pick west for, why not? Through there. Target surfaces, if it has to draw it to an existing ground surface, what ground do we want to use? We're going to go in here and pick EG again. Remember, that's the good surface model that gives us the ground. So once this tells us, gives us the options, we're going to pick EG. There we go. Got it. I think. Come on. There we go. And we should be all set. It's going to ask us probably some more questions before we're done. There we go. This is giving you, it tells you what your assembly is. This is your starting and ending station. So if you have multiple assemblies, which is pretty common, generally, get rid of this thing. Come on. You can have one that goes from 10 to 20, station 10 to station 20, and one from station 20, and on and so forth. So you can, that's how this is where you'd set which one starts, which one ends. This frequency one is how often it's going to do sections. You don't want 5 feet. That's awfully too small, and we would be there forever. Add an increment. Yeah, sure. Come on. We're going to set 25 feet to all of these. Turn off some of these. Okay, so 25 foot's our basic stations. We'll click OK. And now if we click apply, it's going to take a while. It's going to build this entire thing. And that's okay. Yep, so we want to rebuild the corridor. Yep. All right, we're going to rebuild this entire corridor. Okay, it's having some trouble with some of our sub-assemblies. That's no surprise. Down here now you can see our progress. It's going to roll through, and every 25 feet it's going to do a typical section across our existing ground versus our profile grade and our alignment. So it takes it a while. Okay, it finished building the corridor. We can go look at it now. I'm going to cancel this guy and get him out of the way. It gives you a bunch of error messages. That's normal. Just ignore that. You can click this little check box up here. Gets rid of that window through that. And so there it is. Well, it was there a second ago. Okay, I got the corridor as built back. I'm not sure why it blinked out there. So here it is. This is what it looked like when it gets back. And this is telling you how much cut and how much fill basically you've got looking at it from a plan view. So here we're looking at our road, and what it's showing in green, if it's got these green, this is the road. This is the edge of this center line. Here's the edge of my pavement. Here's the edge of my shoulder. And then this, like the red lines here, this is in cut. So you're below existing ground. So you've got red lines for cut through there, and green lines mean you're in fill section. So I'm a little bit higher than existing ground. Sometimes I'm on fill on the south side, I'm on cut on the north side, and so forth. Here we're coming up to that hill. I'm still in fill. I got pretty good fill on one side and a lot of cut on the other. As they come past the hill, then we cut through the top of the hill, if I remember right in that profile. And then down through here we've got a little bit of fill. Then we're back into cut as we approach the bridge finally. And then we come out on the bridge, and the bridge is a causeway, and so we're catching slopes here, and so it looks like we have a lot of fill. But kind of what you should expect down there. So this gives you a rough idea of just how big your footprint is of your road. And like I can say, whoa, look at this house. Am I too close to that house, or am I not close enough? Well, I don't know if you can be not close enough, but you can be too close for sure. And so it gives you a rough idea of just exactly your impact of your road and what you've got through there. And so here's a really wide section. I need more right of way through that, through there, and you can see how it ties in back to the intersection. And then out here, if you want to know where these assemblies are defined, it's way off here in the upper right corner of the drawing. Get all these sub-assemblies, and they're all labeled out here. I think I was using West 4, so this is this one down here. And so if you want to know what is West 4, this is the definition of it. You can check and see what the width is on this, what the width of the shoulders are, and these are how it handles slopes. And are we using cut or fill? What's our slope on it through there? If you double click one, it should bring up, it's off your screen, I'll drag it over here. It brings up this SubAssembly Editor, and whoops, there it goes. And so I'm on this is a shoulder section. These parameters here are all variable. And so it won't change the look on the screen. If I only have a 6-foot shoulder, I can just double click this and type in 6. And it will, in the corridor, make that a 6-foot shoulder on that. And if I wanted to change what my percent grade was and so forth on it, I can do all that here. The same with like the main lane here. Oops. I don't want to get two things at once, I only want to get one thing at a time. Click on this guy. And so if I want to change my lane width, or what my slopes are, or what my layer thicknesses are, if that matters to you, you can do all that over here. Now the shape in view doesn't change, but it will change how it pulls your corridor through in the file. And so you don't want to mess that up. And then one final thing to show you, to give you an little design tool, is since we built this corridor, if we jump in here, let's start here where things change. If I click one of these lines, each of these lines is where there's a cross section that was drawn. So it's every 25 feet. It's kind of close together. If I click one of these and I highlight that, it'll change my ribbon up here eventually. Okay, and now I'm in Section Editor, and I can go in and I can see what these sections look like. And so it's going to come into the editor for me. Let me get rid of this in a second. Okay, so this is what happens when you open up Section Editor. It starts out with a 3-tiered view. I kind of like that, but it's kind of confusing for a lot of people. This is your plan view. The white line shows you where you're at in your editor. The white line in the profile view also shows you where you're at. I didn't do a very good job of my profile. I'm really high right here. I'm far above the existing ground. So you can see this is the section view, like a cross section. You can see I'm really above the existing ground quite a ways here. And you can zoom in and out on that. It'll redraw as we come through there. Okay, I had to turn back on my surface model. Now you can see where the existing ground is. And you can see how much higher than the existing ground the road is. And if you can, up here in Section Editor Tools, get my toolbar back, you can page through these one at a time by using this little forward arrow. And you can kind of drive through your project a little, and call it that, I guess. You can see as you page forward each time 25 feet, you can kind of see how your design is changing. It looks like my assembly's got some issues, which is probably because I don't have everything defined just exactly right. But it gives you a good concept of exactly what you're dealing with and how it's going. And you can jump pretty far ahead at one time if you need to. Come on, get rid of that guy. Give us a little more space here. So if I wanted to see, go up a couple hundred feet forward, I can do that. It likes to start at a very narrow scale. Okay, in this section down here, I'm coming in toward the top of the hill. This is pretty minimal. I'm just above existing ground. That's the red line here. And then I could forward one more here. Yep, and we can see we're going to start getting into the cut section. You can see we're paging forward 25 feet at a time. And I can zoom out here. Gives us a little better view of what we're doing. Zoom in a little. So you can see where I got the ditches now. I'm in cut. I'm below the existing ground. 25, 75. If I go forward 100 feet, let's see what it looks like there. Right. So a little more cut and so forth. So it gives you an idea of what you're doing. It's a nice tool in design. You can page through these. Typically, it's a little faster than this. This is a pretty slow computer, especially tonight for some reason. So hopefully that's a good start what you got for what you're working on this weekend and doing the 50% plans. You'll also need to do the auxiliary lane, the left and right turn lane alignments, and the radiuses down at the intersection, and show those. At least try to get those in. Last time you were calculating how long your lane should be. Now you'll be showing those down there and drawing them in. Plus, you'll be taking the center line that you draw in here and then offsetting that whatever your lane widths are on either side, and showing me where your edge of lanes are on the sheets as you come through there. So let me know if you got any questions. I'll talk to you later.